like Angel said, my name is Sharlotte Porter. I graduated in 1991. I think Angel graduated in 1990, if I'm correct. Oh, was it 92? Okay, so she's 2 years younger than me. When I got out of high school, I had a full scholarship, full academic scholarship. I had my choice at that time to go to 3 different colleges. It was an academic scholarship through my mom's work, and I could choose A&M, Baylor, or the little community college. Well, I graduated the top 10% of my class, but I chose the community college because here's the reason why. A lot of people, when they graduate high school, are just not ready to go off to college. I mean, they're not ready to go off to that big university and be out there by themselves. So I recognized that. I went to the community college for 2 years, and then I went to East Texas Baptist University, East Texas State University in Texarkana the last 2 years, which now is A&M. I was the last class to graduate from Texas State. I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, and for 14 years I was an adult probation officer. I started out in Morris County, which I don't know if y'all know where that's at, but it's about 45 minutes from here. It's a little bitty county. Y'all's school is probably as big as the county. And then I went to Cass County. My career kind of took a different path, and I'll just be honest with you, I wasn't sure about going to Child Protective Services. That was not something that, when I was younger, that I ever envisioned, but that's where God led me. I'm gonna give you the best advice I can give you guys is to pray about where God wants you to go. Because where you wanna go and where He wants you to go, maybe 2 different directions, because I kind of thought God was crazy when I went to CPS because that is not what I wanted to do. Here I am 9 years later. Right now I supervise Cass County, Morris County, Bowie County, Marion County, Red River County, and I'm fixing to get Titus County. So I'm quite busy. I'll have 7 workers under me as far as caseworkers, and then I have 2 admin staff. What a CPS caseworker does, there's different stages of CPS. There's investigators, and they're the people that are on the front line. They get called, when a case gets called in, they call out an investigator. They go out and investigate. If there are grounds for the children to be removed, whatever that may be, from neglectful supervision, there's various different things that children can be removed for. Then they come to us, which I'm called a conservatorship supervisor. Basically, when I get involved in the case, there's a judge saying, you must do this, 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 and this. And my job is to make sure that we give them the resources, whether it's to go to parenting, substance abuse, domestic violence, life skills. It's up to us to give them, to find the resources in our little communities, which can be difficult, but we do it. We're able to do that. And me as a supervisor, my workers go out. I have workers that go out and visit the parents, go out and visit the children, go to their schools and talk to their teachers, to make the best decision to whether they go home, which is always our goal when a child is removed from foster and put in foster care. Our number 1 goal is for that child to go home if that child can be safe. If that can't happen, we look for relatives, and if that can't happen, if we can't find a relative, then it's basically foster parents. We do have some residential treatment facilities. That's if a child needs some therapeutic needs, counseling that they need. They sometimes go to what's called a residential treatment facility, that's the last thing that we try to keep children out of, because it's not a home setting. We try to keep children in home settings, but we go to court. Usually, here's how a case works. We get a case, I get a case, I have a year to work that case. And how many people, when you start school, think, man, I got a whole year, that's a long time. Well, a year is not long at all. I mean, I always thought a year was long too when I started this job. I'm thinking, man, like that, a year is gone. So there's certain times we go to court. The first time we go to court is 14 days after a case is initiated. Then we go to court within 60 days. And then we go back to court. Usually most judges like to have a progress report. So we go back to court. It's not a mandatory hearing, but it's just to review what the parents are doing, what the children are doing, because sometimes kids need services, and sometimes we have to have those services court ordered because we need a court order to actually pursue those services at times. Then we go to court at the 5th, I don't know why they call it the 5th month, but they say 5th month, but it's really 6 months because it's 180 days from the date we got the case. And then usually back to the year mark. Generally cases, average, they say 18 months. I don't know where they get that figure because most of our cases are closed within the year mark. It's just, I did different counties, different judges. Every judge is different. Some judges will not allow visits if parents have positive drug tests. Some judges will allow visits as long as the parents show up and are behaving well at the visits. A lot of paperwork involved in our job. 90% of what we do probably is paperwork. I mean, we have a form for everything. I mean, it's just time consuming. We have placement paperwork. We have court reports that we have to give. We have medicals and dentals that we have to enter. But most of our work is computer based. The good thing about that is, guess what? You can work on a computer nowadays anywhere that you get Wi-Fi, right? So I have workers in an office in Linden, in an office in Dangerfield, an office in Clarksville, which is up close to Paris. So I don't see these workers every day. So basically I approve everything they do through our computer system. We do child's plans, we do family plans. All that stuff is computerized. Everything we do, they submit it, I read it, or approve it, or reject it, and then if I reject it, guess what they have to do? They have to do it over. Kind of like sometimes when you do work and you don't do your best work. I don't know how Miss Angel is, but I know when my kids go to school, guess what? They get a redo. They get a chance to redo their stuff sometime. Well, my advice to my workers is to keep them from doing more work and keep me from doing more work. Do it right the first time. I mean, they kind of know what is in a child's plan. Kind of like when you have to write an essay, you kind of know what Miss Angel expects by now. So you kind of know if you're giving your best work. But so sometimes, I mean, like I said, my workers travel a lot because we have kids that are placed in Houston, which everybody knows how far Houston is from here. So our worker, just because we have a kid that's removed from a county, like say Gregg County, doesn't mean you're going to be placed in that county. So that you have to have a worker go see them wherever they're at. Kids have to be moved from time to time for various reasons. We get discharge notices for, the foster parents don't feel like they can meet their needs. Or we find a family member that we can put the child with. Or the children go home. All that requires more paperwork. So the big thing about CPS is it's a great job as far as being able to work your schedule. Like today I came down here and I sat in my vehicle and worked until I called Angel and said I'm out front. I will go home tonight probably and work till whenever I decide I'm tired of working. So sometimes we work 60 hours a week, sometimes we work 80, sometimes we work 30, just to be honest with you. Sometimes just depending on how many people are on your caseload, you may not have as much to do. But basically we can work any hours we want except for when we have a visit. Because what happens is when you have a parent-child visit, somebody's got to supervise that visit, right? Generally it's the caseworker. We do have some contracted services that we pay people to do visits. There are also contracted social workers that do other stuff for the department. Basically, essentially probably I'd say 60% of CPS workers are social workers, but you do not have to have a social work degree to be a social worker. To be a CPS worker. You do not even have to have a 4-year degree anymore, which may surprise some of you. Used to you had to have a 4-year degree. Now you can apply with a 2-year degree. However, if someone with a 4-year degree applies, they're probably going to get that job over someone that has a 2-year degree. If you get into certain positions, we have some admin positions. Now, if you come to work for the department and you work in an administrative position, then after you have some experience and then you apply for a caseworker, then you have a good shot at it. Because you know how things work. But even if you don't have that 4-year degree, you have experience at that point. But I'll just tell you, it's a field that always has openings. That's because, I'll just be honest with you, people get burnt out. Because we do work a lot of hours. The pay's pretty good. I can't even remember what it's starting out, but it does pay pretty well now compared to what it did when I first started doing this job. I think a few years ago we got like a $10,000 a year raise. So I think it starts out paying close to $40,000 right now, which is pretty good for a social work job. You have great insurance. You do not have to pay for your insurance. You do have to pay if you have children or spouses. You have to pay for your insurance. You have all kinds of holidays. We have so many. I'll be honest with you. I've been there 9 years. I've never taken a vacation day, and that is because I've had so much comp time, so many holiday time. You get administrative leave, which administrative leave is something you can earn by doing a good job. If you don't do a good job, your boss is probably not gonna give you administrative leave. But, we get what's called skeleton crew holidays, which is a holiday where, maybe a federal holiday that the state doesn't necessarily recognize, but they give us a choice. We can work that day, or we can take 8 hours, we can take off. I work almost all skeleton crew holidays because then it gives me 8 hours of a holiday pay that holiday time I can take other time. And I'll be
So are
honest with
you a state employee?
Yes, state
Okay.
employee, have state retirement, so your retirement, you have to meet the rule of 80 or 30 years and out. Which 30 years seems like a long time, I know, but I have 22 years of time, so. And with the state right now, the way it is, like all my sick time, when you get so much vacation time with the state, they only let you carry so much of it, it switches to sick time. Well, as of right now, if I was to retire, I would have almost a year's worth of sick time that I could use for my retirement. So I can retire with the rule of 80 in about 5 years, which I will only be in my early 50s. So, which I'm probably not gonna retire, so I'm only gonna be in my early 50s. What else am I gonna do? But to be honest with you, it's a good job if you love kids. It's a great place to be. Also, you have to have a compassion for other people because you can't be in there and think you're better than someone else. And you have parents, they screwed up. They screwed up. And most of the time they know that. And you have to have compassion toward them. And they have to know that you care about what they're doing because we're trying to send their kids home. And I'll tell you, my unit has very good success in sending kids back to their birth families. And I've been very blessed to work with a bunch of Christian ladies who are compassionate toward the parents. I'll be honest with you guys, a lot of what we do is drug use. I mean, y'all probably know that. Probably 95% of the people I come in contact with is because of drugs.
So do y'all know what CPS stands for? Okay, just making sure.
So, and like I said, before I started with CPS, I was an adult probation officer and I did substance abuse caseload. So for 14 years, I worked with addicts on NADIAN. And that job, you have to have a 4-year degree to do that too. You don't have to have a criminal justice degree to be a probation officer, but they prefer it. And criminal justice, I don't know if y'all have criminal justice classes here?
We do.
Has any of y'all taken a criminal justice class? Yeah, how did you like the criminal justice class too?
It's pretty fun.
They're pretty fun, and they're generally pretty easy, to be honest with you. There's some of your easier classes, criminal justice classes, but they're generally pretty fun. We have them at our school too, but you also have to have a 4-year degree to do that. But like I said, you don't necessarily have to have it in criminal justice, but in probation they prefer that criminal justice because then you kind of know what the law is when you go in. So basically, when I switched over to CPS, guess what? I was dealing with the same people, just on a different set of circumstances because it was a lot of drug use. But it's just everybody in here has a calling. What that is, I don't know. But you're gonna have to pray about that because when I was younger, I didn't envision working with drug addicts for 22 years, but that's what I've done. And I'll just be honest with you, when we get a case of drugs, I'm comfortable doing that because I understand. I can relate because I've been doing it for so long. I have compassion because, people get hooked on drugs at an early age most of the time. And it ruins their lives. And they make bad choices. And our job is to basically let them see there are other resources out there and other people out there that care about them and that will help them. They just gotta know who to go to. And we've been, like I said, my unit's been very successful. And, I'm proud of that. Does anybody have any questions about CPS or probation, per se?
Is it, how do you personally deal with these situations where you don't bring it home and you're dealing with negative pretty much every day?
I learned at an early age. My husband, when we first got married, he worked in law enforcement. And we just made an agreement back then that we would not talk about our jobs. And we've been married for 25 years. And very seldom do we ever talk about our job. He may know when I come home if I've had a bad day, just because we know each other so well because we've been together for so long. But he doesn't try to talk about it. He says, no, he says, hey, why don't we do this? Because he can tell. He don't work in law enforcement no more. He's like, I'm done with law enforcement, so he's doing something else. But it's just something you have to learn because if you bring this job home, or with a lot of different jobs, if you bring those jobs home, it's going to consume every minute of your life, and that's not healthy for you. It's not healthy for anybody in here. You have to have some time where you can figure out to decompress. You know, I took up running about 5 years ago. I was athletic in school, but I hated to run, to be honest with you. But about 5 years ago, I actually started, I have a rowing machine in my house, and I row. So exercise is kind of my outlet, as well as I'm very fortunate to be a member of a local church that is a good outlet, because, you know, they know what I do for a living. They know I can't talk about what I do, but some of the kids that they deal with, because I go to church with a lot of teachers, they know what's going on in their classroom. They know that some of these kids are kids that they deal with. And I'll be honest, our superintendent calls me all the time, even though I don't really do a whole lot in Cass County that where my kids go to school. But you definitely have to find your outlet, whether it's drawing, music, whatever that may